All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again. Time for another episode of the Sam Franco World Cup podcast. And the best part about this episode is the World Cup actually started. So we have a lot to get to in today's episode. Sam Franco joined by Josh Bagriansky. And I want to go ahead and apologize off the bat if my voice sounds a little hoarse. Just getting back from Bonnaroo and all that goes with that. I will try my best to sound coherent. So we'll just go with that. And Josh, I wanted to say what's up to you, and what have you thought so far of the World Cup?
It's been a great tournament so far, and I think you couldn't have asked for more. Obviously, us as football fans, we're going to love it anyway, but, a lot of the casual onlookers I know that, get into the big matches, the Champions League finals, the FA Cup finals, the World Cup, those types of matches, they're loving it. It's been goals aplenty. We've had some upsets. Obviously, a great result for the U.S. yesterday in dramatic fashion, too. It's been a wonderful tournament so far.
And obviously, we will start there in Recife, where the United States was able to get just another one of these excellent, amazing, improbable wins in a World Cup. And thankfully for the United States, this one was over Ghana, who looked like they had just continued the curse by scoring in the late stages, their last 10 minutes of the game, after the United States opened the scoring with Clint Dempsey. And we'll start there because Clint Dempsey's goal was absolutely phenomenal. Took the ball off his chest on a throw-in, passed it back to the thrower, and then just kind of made a run in, received a pass, and his first touch was just absolutely brilliant. Cut into the box, unloaded a shot with his left foot across the face of the goalkeeper on the ground, which is one of the hardest shots to execute. And the ball goes in, and the United States had the lead 29 seconds into the game.
Unbelievable. And that was on his weak foot to boot. What a magnificent individual goal for Dempsey. It was almost surreal. Also, a nice little assist there from Jermaine Jones, who was fantastic over the 90 minutes. But, that's just what the doctor ordered. Obviously a lot of nerves coming into this World Cup with such a strong group. The history against Ghana has not been very good. You couldn't start a match better than that. And I think you described the goal pretty much to a T, man. It was just a magnificent individual run from the captain and gave us the boost we needed to get off to a good start. And as you said, the finish was just wonderful, driven to the far post. No chance for the keeper to react in time. So, again, as I said, it was pretty surreal to watch it. Literally the first attack of the game, the ball's in the back of the net. But, that's football. A goal can happen at any time. I don't think the Ghana defense was particularly switched on, and Dempsey made him pay.
Yeah, and I can't speak enough about that first touch. We've, seen a lot of World Cup games so far, and quite frankly, a lot of teams in their first game, the touch just isn't there. Teams are heavy on the touch, and that was definitely apparent in the Ecuador game, which was a heartbreaker for me, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But, keeping with this United States game, a lot of the players said after the game that, I think Tim Howard and Michael Bradley both said that, it's great to score an early goal, but it also puts you on the back foot, especially that early in the game. And the United States was basically on the back foot for the next 80 minutes, just continuously getting pegged back by Ghana. And I'll say this. Obviously, the two goal scorers, helped the United States win the game. But the two players of the game for me, you mentioned it, Jermaine Jones, that's the best 90 minutes I've ever seen him play in a United States shirt. And he was just all over the place, making tackles, winning the ball. And I really like him on the left. I didn't think when I saw the lineup initially that would be a good spot for him. But because he likes to go forward so much, maybe it is better that Michael Bradley, a little bit more of a disciplined player, is sitting in that kind of defensive midfield role next to Kyle Beckerman. And speaking of Bradley, going from one player, Jermaine Jones, who I thought had one of the best 90 minutes I've ever seen, that might have been Michael Bradley's worst 90 minutes in a USA shirt.
And that was the main reason that we were, as you said, we scored early, but after that it looked like, 30 seconds in, I wanted to see the guys keep coming forward and just basically proceed as if it was 0-0. Instead, I wouldn't say we took our maybe foot off the gas, or it was just a mental thing where we started to defend. But not only were we on the back foot the whole match, we hardly strung 5 passes together. And as you said, Michael Bradley is the guy that pulls the strings in terms of us holding possession. And he was just very poor. Lost the ball quite a few times. I thought he looked a bit lost the last couple of tune-up matches. I don't know if it's fatigue or he's just a bit out of form right now. But he's going to have to perform much better going forward because, if we don't get that goal 30 seconds in and we're on the back foot like that, it's a totally different match. So he's got to do a much better job at possession, loading the ball up. Obviously we got a great performance from him in terms of work rate, but he's got to be better on the ball, or it's hard to honestly see us scoring 2 goals in a match again if he plays like that.
I apologize there for my ESPN update going off on my phone. It is now on silent mode, so we will proceed through the podcast here, hopefully with no more hiccups like that. But no, with Michael Bradley, and especially after the United States took the lead late, and, you're trying to kill the ball. Instead, he sends a ball into the box. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? You give the ball right back to Ghana. And, like you said, you just gave the ball away too much. But, despite his performance, the United States was able to play extremely well. I know that, Beasler had to be taken off because of a little hamstring pull. The same thing with Josie Altidore, and just feel absolutely gutted for Altidore, who had a pretty good goal-scoring opportunity early on in the match and just couldn't execute it there. But when he pulled up like that, non-contact injuries usually do not signify very good things, and we've just got to keep our fingers crossed that he will be able to make his mark on this tournament somehow.
And, we saw, when Bradley is struggling, Josie's not involved in the match, obviously, with the injury. We were incapable of creating anything other than Dempsey's, little bit of brilliance there. So his injury is going to be critical because, Johansson came on, and on the one hand, it's not as if the service was particularly good, but I hardly remember him getting a sniff of the ball.
After he got subbed on, you barely heard his name called pretty much the whole game.
To be honest, I forgot he was even on the pitch, and he's a guy that we've been very excited about, but maybe the moment was just a bit too big for him. But, Josie's a guy, we'd love to have him back on Sunday, but as you said, non-contact injury, a hamstring, just kind of pulls up lane, running after a long ball. It's hard to imagine that he's going to be back for Sunday, although we would certainly take it. But as you mentioned, and we talked about this the last couple times we've discussed, is after Josie, you've got, as we discussed, Johansson. Wondolowski is not a guy we want, I don't think, is going to see the pitch. So if we're really going to be relying on a 22-year-old who was not even a part of not a large part of the qualification process until the tail end, a kid that's, I think he's like 22, 23 years old, that's going to be relying a lot on this guy. If he's the guy that has to become the striker, if it is him, it's going to be much more pressure than on Dempsey and especially Michael Bradley to find our guys in good and advantageous positions to create chances, because you do worry about your striker being a guy who just played his first World Cup match and has never really played too many matches at this level before.
Yeah, the thought briefly crossed my mind to maybe play a 4-5-1 with Dempsey alone up top. Maybe bring Zuzi in there, so you have, I guess, a midfield of Beckerman, Bradley, Jones, Zuzi, and Bedoya.
And that kind of goes back to the 4-2-3-1, where you again, as we did in the Nigeria match, you put Jones and Beckerman in front of the back four, and then have 3 midfielders floating in front of them, and then, as you said, Dempsey all by his lonesome up top. That might, even without Josie, that might be the lineup, with or without Josie, that might be the lineup to go with on Sunday, because, and I'm sure we can discuss this later, but a draw against Portugal, considering the goal differential right now, would do us a whole world of good, even if it's a 0-0 draw. So if we go into that match maybe a bit conservative, that might be the way to go, considering you don't have that great, well, not great, but you don't have that goal scorer you want up front in Josie.
Oh, a draw against Portugal is huge because, the United States is sitting there with a +1 goal differential, whereas Portugal is sitting with a -4. So, if the United States is able to get a draw there, then Portugal's got to go into the Ghana game and essentially score 5 goals, barring the United States just having a complete collapse against Germany,
right?
Which is entirely possible. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that game in just a minute. But finishing up kind of the United States talk here, you got to love just the never say die attitude, but the effort as a whole has got to be much better against Portugal, even though Portugal is coming into this game limping. No Hugo Almeida, he's out hurt now. No Fabio Contral, he's also hurt.
And Pepe.
And Pepe's red card, which we will get to here in a minute. But, the United States just had this. That's what they do. They make you sweat through these games, and then they come up with that moment of magic, and it's been a trademark of this team for at least the last 2 World Cups. So hopefully the United States is able to string together a better game against Portugal in Natal. In Manaus, which quite frankly is just probably the worst place you can play in this World Cup with the conditions.
The pitch looks like a disaster the last I saw of it.
Right. I mean, England and Italy, that game kind of came off okay on it. But, we shall see how that goes. But, again, United States, one of these phenomenal World Cup moments. They even got to party with Joe Biden in the locker room after the game.
Video. Yeah, that was hilarious.
So that was pretty cool there. I bet that was a cool moment for the guys. But I loved what Klinsmann said today in the press conference. Ghana's out of our mind. We're 100% focused on Portugal now, and they've got to be, because the thought of Cristiano Ronaldo running at DeMarcus Beasley is still giving me nightmares. But
especially after Ghana literally overloaded that, just came up Beasley's side. They were 100% committed to attacking him.
He fell down multiple times.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I think Jermaine Jones ended up having such a good game, because he was playing on the left side of that diamond, and he was really providing a lot of defensive help for Beasley, because they were attacking him over and over and over again. Interestingly, their goal actually came from the other side, but as you said, I mean, we're going to be going against much more talented, more technical, more cohesive teams, so the effort we know will be there, but the team effort, as you said, it can't be 11 individuals giving 100%. It has to be a collective deal for us. And we're not going to, if we play Portugal and they have 62% possession and we don't create anything, I don't see us winning that match, because they're a much better team than Ghana. So it's going to be interesting to see tactically how we adjust from a match that I think we can all agree we're a bit fortunate to come out with 3 points.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, the Ghana goal was just a piece of masterclass. Asamoah Gyan is a world-class player. I don't know why he's playing in whatever Middle Eastern country that he's playing in right now, because he is an unbelievable player. Just couldn't find that final touch to get himself a goal. But the goal they did score, beautifully done on with the outside of the foot to the near post. And they deserved probably a little better. But
I think a draw probably would have been fair. They didn't create a ton of chances, but as we've mentioned ad nauseum, I mean, after that first goal, Ghana was in our half. It seemed like the entire match.
Yeah, and fortunately for the U.S., they came out with the win. The same cannot be said for Portugal, the other Group G fixture we've seen. Portugal going down to Germany 4-0, and in a match where Pepe, one of their best defender and one of the top center backs in the world, when he's not doing crazy things like he did in this game, but he gets red carded for headbutting Thomas Muller. And here's the thing. Did he not learn from Zidane? You can't headbutt people in the World Cup. You're going to get sent off.
And has he not learned from the countless red cards he's already amassed in these situations?
That's a fair point.
A moment of complete madness, and you have to know as Pepe, they have a little one-on-one scuffle. You know the referee is looking at you, because he's expecting you to do something stupid, and that's exactly what he did. And he's never going to get away with it. And you saw Bruno Alves. All his teammates, Bruno Alves just said, "Get out of here, man." After he sent him off, he said, "Just get out." We have no argument. This is the biggest stage of them all, and for you to basically cost them the match, and also what he did resulted in them being absolutely taken apart by the Germans, playing a man down. It's just it's a moment I'm sure he'd like to have back, but this is something that, as you mentioned, he's a great center back. He's one of the best in the world, but what good are you if you're not on the pitch? So it's just an absolutely ridiculous decision from him, and the result was a 100% team implosion from the Portuguese. Kind of reminded me a bit of the 2002 match against the U.S. in the World Cup, where they got down early, got down on themselves, and looked disinterested the rest of the way. they were really poor, and it all stemmed from that red card, as you said.
Yeah, and even Ronaldo just wasn't able to ever get into the game. They had a couple of chances on goal, but unfortunately didn't work out for them. Talking about the positive thing in this match, which was the German performance, Thomas Mueller with the hat trick, and just a guy who I picked to win the Golden Boot in this tournament, and I'm looking pretty good right now with 3 goals right off the bat. And he just had a phenomenal game. And I think Germany, along with one other team that we'll get to later on in this podcast, clearly have asserted themselves as the favorites to win this tournament.
Yeah, they've just played great football start to finish. As you said, Thomas Mueller, it's interesting. His role is a little different for Germany. He's a guy for Bayern Munich that often will play behind the striker.
Or even to the right.
Right, yeah. He kind of just floats around in that midfield. But Germany didn't really start an out-and-out striker.
He's that false number 9.
Exactly. He's a guy, false number 9 or not, he's going to get you goals. So it worked out great for them. They were able to really control the game in the midfield. You're able to get away with that kind of false number 9 when you have guys like Ozil and Götze, Toni Kroos, Semi Khedira that can have the creativity to still create opportunities for you, even if you don't have that true striker sitting at the point. But Thomas Mueller, as you said, fantastic. The service was good. They are as dangerous as anyone in this tournament. Going to be real tough to beat them.
Yeah, and there are a lot of teams in world football that are not happy that he re-signed with Bayern Munich before the tournament because he is going to be a highly sought-after commodity. But too late. Sorry, guys. Bayern Munich have locked him up, so he will be staying there. Looking at the overalls from Group G, obviously Germany and the United States each got 3 points, but Germany on top of the group with a goal differential of 4. And Portugal at the bottom of the group with a goal differential of -4. So Ghana looking there in third with a goal differential of -1. So there's our Group G look at, and we'll do the rest of this in alphabetical order, because it sounds like that's an easier way to do it. We'll start with the opening game of this World Cup, Brazil versus Croatia, and I'll say this about the game. Brazil played very well in this game, but then, that own goal from Marcelo is one of the worst own goals I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, really poor, and kind of typified the Brazilian performance. They scored the 3 goals, but just they were really not good. Great start for Croatia, and it was kind of a weird one because the striker kind of mishit it. It was a lovely low cross. Their striker kind of mishit it, and I guess Marcelo just saw it late. What an embarrassing moment for him. And just like that, the hosts are down. And, yeah, that was a sign of things to come for the rest of the tournament, surprise after surprise.
Yeah, no question about it. And this group, actually the only group that's also had its second games dove into, yes. and that happened today. We'll also say really quickly that in the other game from this group that started the tournament, Mexico was able to beat Cameroon 1-0 on a Peralta goal, with both teams playing okay. I think the rain really messed that game up a little bit, but Mexico able to get the win despite Cameroon having some chances late on. So that meant that Brazil and Mexico each had 3 points, while Croatia and Cameroon each had none. I will say that Croatia had a very unfortunate set of circumstances happen in this game. One, the penalty given was extremely soft, should not have been a penalty. And two, according to the Croatian players, the referee didn't even speak English. And that's just inexcusable because, in a tournament like this, you've got to have a common tongue on these referees so that they can communicate with the players. Apparently, this referee only spoke Japanese, and that's according to the Portuguese players. So take that with a grain of salt. But they had every right to be upset with that penalty.
Yeah, the penalty, and they had a goal that potential equalizer that would have made it 2-2 that was disallowed. That looked fair to me. So, Croatia, you have a match like that, you just got to forget about it, move on. They have Cameroon and Mexico to come, and I still think they feel they can win both matches and get out of the group. Although Brazil and Mexico drawing today, moving up to 4 points apiece. So it's definitely that Croatia-Cameroon game is going to be a winner-take-all in terms of being alive and in contention for advancement on the final match day.
Well, that's the thing. Croatia, despite losing in match one, they win their next two games. They're through to the next round. So nothing has been written in stone for them yet. But that Brazil-Mexico game today, you mentioned a minute ago that Brazil did not look good against Croatia. At least they scored 3 goals. They did not look good at all today against Mexico. They had some chances. I'll say Memo Ochoa, the goalkeeper for Mexico, had one of the games of his life. Just would not let anything past him. Mexico didn't really look that threatening going forward. They had a couple of chances, but they seemed very content to sit back and try and get this draw.
Yeah, absolutely. Guillermo Ochoa, by the way, unattached in terms of a club right now.
That's right. He's a free agent.
Yeah, he was playing for Ajaccio in France, but so maybe he'll go ahead and make himself some money with a great World Cup. I've always thought he was a keeper deserving of a larger club. But as you mentioned, I feel like it was a match both teams were kind of content with the result. They realized it wasn't their best day, and they seemed okay with 0-0. But look, you look at the two sides. I think it's still everything to play for in the group, and they're going to be looking towards their last match, looking to get a result. I'm not too impressed with either Brazil or Mexico. I thought Mexico were rather unconvincing against Cameroon. They continue to look very disjointed going forward, although they've been much more solid at the back. And then, as we mentioned, Brazil is going to have to get much better if they want to advance deep into the knockout phase.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, they just looked listless today. Neymar had some chances, but he really looks like the only super threatening player on that roster.
Yeah, and you wonder if that's the pressure getting to them. One thing I kind of wonder about with host countries is, particularly if you qualify properly from South America, you've come through a qualifying zone where you are 100% battle tested, and you see that when you watch, for instance, a Chile come out and take care of business. We saw that with Argentina. Brazil hasn't. These guys have not played a truly competitive match together really since the last World Cup. I mean, I know Confederations Cup, I guess Copa America, Copa America you would include, but they haven't been through the gauntlet that is CONMEBOL qualifying together. So they just don't seem to have the cohesiveness under pressure that you would expect from a Brazilian side. They seem to lack creativity. There seem to be communication issues at times. This is a team that you expect to control every match they play, create chances, and play wonderful football to boot, and they have not done any of those things over their first two matches.
They're pretty lucky that they have Cameroon in their last game because,
they're very lucky.
If they had to play, Mexico or Croatia with the amount of pressure that they're going to have in that third game, it might be a little tougher, especially if Memo Ochoa is playing the way he played today. But, I think Brazil and Mexico will still get out of this group. I would like to see Croatia play really well tomorrow against Cameroon and then, try and get that result against Mexico, in their last game. But I still see Mexico being able to probably get a draw with Croatia just because, they have looked good at times. They just need to kind of pull it together.
And they look much better defending. So in terms of that match, what a draw should do for them, they have to feel good about their chances.
Yep. All right. So that's our wrap-up of Group A so far. We'll jump to Group B, where probably the most shocking result of the tournament happened a few days ago. The Netherlands absolutely routing Spain 5-1. And my odds-on favorite for the World Cup goal of the tournament goes to Robin van Persie, who scored an absolutely sublime header in this game. It was a beautiful over-the-top ball, and Van Persie kind of, it's so hard to describe the way he just leapt into the air like a seal and just was able to get that top spin on the ball by flicking his head, and it just dropped over Iker Casillas, who could do nothing with it.
Yeah, that was a truly special goal. We see it. You see a lot of great goals, obviously, at this level, but you won't see a goal quite like that maybe again.
No.
In terms of, he's at the top of, it's just a wonderfully athletic play. He's at the top of the 18-yard box. He has to locate the long ball, set his feet, get that explosion so he can get the power into that header. and then still loop it over the goalkeeper, and Casillas, just rooted to the spot. And it was just a lovely, lovely goal from Van Persie. And Louis van Gaal, what a decision to go with 5 in the back, because you look at that goal and another one as well that both came from the young defender Blind.
Oh, that was a great goal from him.
Yeah, and he had a great match. So you have 5 defenders, so your wingbacks are able to push up the pitch a little more. So he gets high down the left side, gets some space in the midfield, and he has time to launch that diagonal ball over the top. It was a lovely ball, but the finish, was even better. But so 5 in the back.
Yeah, it looks really good, and Manchester United fans have to be feeling pretty good about Louis van Gaal coming in, because he just he was able to.
Decision.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Decision. I've never seen Spain, whether they've won or lost matches, and obviously they usually win. I've never seen them lose control of a match in terms of the tempo. That was Holland playing their style of football for 90 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen Spain succumb to a team like that. It was just Holland imposing their will the entire second half. It was really impressive, and I think the 5 in the back had a lot to do with it.
And Arjen Robben exercised some demons from the last time these two teams played in a competitive fixture in the final of the 2010 World Cup, because he just could not be stopped. He ran wild all over Spain. And it was funny because Spain scored first, but it was a very soft penalty. Diego Costa intentionally ran into the trail leg of the defender, and I don't think it should have been a penalty, but Xabi Alonso was able to knock that one home. But then it was all Netherlands after that, and it was really a showing of master class from the Dutch, and they're the other team who I think, definitely put themselves as one of the favorites, if not the favorite. I know it's pretty close between Germany and Netherlands, who are two bitter rivals, but those are the two teams right now that I think have to be the odds-on favorites to win.
Probably so, and just a wonderful performance from Netherlands, a team that we had a lot of questions about coming to the tournament, particularly defensively. I think they passed the test against one of the best sides in the world, and for them, sky seems to be the limit.
And that's the thing, because Spain will pass you to death, and they play that Barcelona style where they're just kind of content to pass around, and then kind of go for the jugular. The Netherlands found the antidote for that. They completely had Spain looking lost.
Yep, and I think so much of it, again, had to do with those wing backs with 5 in the back being able to really fly up the left and right side. That really changed the outlook on the match. But I just never seen Spain so poor. Iker Casillas,
he had an awful game.
You talk about this Ghanaian witch doctor putting the hex on Ronaldo. Obviously wasn't true, but I think Mourinho might have done something to Casillas when he was at Real Madrid, because he's never been the same.
No, he hasn't.
It's really unbelievable to watch, what a poor goalkeeper he's been. And you almost wonder, De Gea for Man U is a wonderful goalkeeper as the backup. You almost wonder if they start to think about making a change.
Oh, and De Gea had a phenomenal season for Manchester United, despite them having a terrible year. He's so athletic. The only thing that he tends to lack on is control of aerial, crosses. That's probably his biggest weakness. But I think you might be right. It might be time to pass the torch. But Spain have got to figure something out, because if they don't, they are in trouble. And they play Chile tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And that's a huge game. I mean, can you picture if Spain only get a draw, then they're in trouble. They need to win that game.
Yeah, they'll have. If that happens, they'll have to win their last match and win big. Chile are a very, very strong side as well. I thought they played very well against Australia. Alexis Sanchez is fantastic for them, a guy that plays better for country than for club. But they're a strong side top to bottom. And they showed that in qualifying. Hopefully Vidal, who's one of the top box-to-box midfielders in the game, but didn't look very fit in the opener, will be back and back to his usual self. Eduardo Vargas is an excellent pacey striker. This is not going to be an easy match for Spain at all. And coming into this group, a lot of the pundits had Spain and Chile getting out. Now it's looking like it might be Netherlands and Chile. And Spain is home.
Yeah, we'll see. I did not get to see any of the Chile-Australia match.
It's a great game. It's a great game. And they looked very good.
They were able to win 3-1. And looking at the group table right now, obviously Netherlands on top with a 4-goal differential and the 3 points. Chile also have 3 points, but a 2-goal differential. that -4 differential for Spain is very big. They have to win both of these games to get out of the group. If they get a draw in one of them, then if they draw Chile, then they're going to have to beat Australia like 6-0, maybe even worse than that. So we'll see what happens there. But Australia, unfortunately, doesn't look like it's going to be a long tournament for them. And if Spain doesn't beat Chile, it's not going to be a long tournament for them either. All right, looking at Group C. Group C so far, Colombia, Ivory Coast, Japan, and Greece. The first game in this was a Colombia drubbing of Greece, 3-0. I did not get to see this one. I did not get to see any of the matches in this one. I don't know if you did, Josh. But Colombia probably, just Greece, they're a team that can play solid defense, and I thought they might be able to get out of this group. And I had been kind of disparaging Colombia a little bit with their chances with Falcao being out, but they did not look any weaker without him in this match. At least from the score line, from what I see. So, Colombia with the points there. From what I heard about the Ivory Coast match, Japan was able to go up early on a Honda goal, but then Ivory Coast were able to battle back and get the win there 2-1.
Yeah, and this is an interesting group. So to start off with Colombia, I know that we disagreed on that one because they were my dark horse coming into the tournament. Okay. I think they have one of the most underrated midfielders in the world in Yamis. I don't know. I call it James Rodriguez. Is that over American?
We'll let you do that. That's fine.
Okay, I really prefer that. But anyway, he was great. Pulling the strings from the midfield. Scored the goal they scored in the 90th minute was just a magnificent piece of build-up between him and Cuadrado, who's a tricky winger. We talked about them missing Falcao. I think sometimes it can be a positive when a guy like that is not in the lineup.
Because the pressure to get him the ball is so high.
They played team football for 90 minutes. They dominated the match. They were really, really good. And I think that they're a team that could really surprise, win this group, and go deep in the tournament. As for the Ivory Coast Japan match, great goal from Honda to kick it off. And then Ivory Coast scored 2 virtually identical goals. It was really bizarre. Within about 5 minutes of each other, from Wilfried Bony and Gervinho. Both crosses coming from the right back, Serge Aurier, the Bordeaux player who's been linked with Arsenal. It was within 2 minutes.
Wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, got to get my Gunners talking there. But, so two completely identical goals. Got space on the right side, whipped the ball into the box. Boney and Gervinho, of all people, finding the back of the net.
Yeah, I know, right? As an Arsenal guy, you're like Gervinho.
Yeah, right. But, Ivory Coast looked good. I think this is kind of one of the groups we don't know too much about. There's certainly not any traditionally strong sides, but I think that Colombia and Ivory Coast both very talented and both have a chance to surprise in the tournament.
Well, I was just trying to be a nonconformist by not picking Colombia. That's looking like a dumb pick now. Probably, the chalk will probably get through in this group. It's looking like Colombia and Ivory Coast will be the 2 teams out. All right, moving on to Group D. Group D is a very, very interesting group right now because Costa Rica was able to get the 3-1 win over Uruguay, probably the biggest upset of the tournament so far. With the Ticos, the Minnows from CONCACAF, and CONCACAF is looking really good so far in this tournament. Undefeated against. Not undefeated, but the 3 Honduras did lose, but the 3 most recent matches, or the 3 higher ranked teams rather, Costa Rica and USA and Mexico went undefeated against 3 quarterfinalists from 2010. So they were able to do really well, but Costa Rica just a phenomenal game for them, and no Suarez for Uruguay, who said he was fit and ready to go.
Yeah, a bit surprising considering they fell behind so early in the second half. You've got to assume that he is not as fit as, of course, he wants to play. You've got to think that they're trailing with a player of that quality coming off the bench. They play him if he's fit. But I was impressed by Costa Rica. I mean, Joel Campbell, first of all, another Arsenal guy. he was on loan. He was one of the guys coming
Joel Campbell sounds like Sol Campbell. You sure you're not mixing that up?
Right. Well, yeah, suddenly Sol Campbell has gotten a bit of pace, and up top. But Joel Campbell, you may remember him, actually played for Olympiacos, scored a great goal against Man United in the Champions League.
Believe me, I remember that.
Yeah, he's got a great left foot, and he was the best player on the pitch in this game. A goal, an assist, 1, 3, or 4 free kicks. And I was just so impressed with Costa Rica. This was a match I thought they were going to really have it handed to them. They're down 1-0 at the half, and they played one of the great 45 minutes of the tournament, I thought, of any team. They totally outplayed Uruguay in the second half. They were able to actually possess and hold the ball a little bit. And, again, just that, I agree with you. That's the upset of the tournament so far. I think Netherlands-Spain is the most shocking result in terms of, 5-1. But if you just look match up the two teams, this is an absolute shocker. Oh
yeah, no question about it. It's pretty crazy that they were able to get that win, because nobody saw that coming. And
it's just been an unbelievable tournament, man. You can't predict this stuff. It's really been great.
Yeah, their coach Jorge Luis Pinto just put together a phenomenal game plan there. And the other matchup that happened in this group, Italy and England, I was able to actually watch this whole game sitting in the field at Bonnaroo with half Italy fans on one side of me and half England fans. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, the Italians, they just looked really good in this game. Balotelli's header was phenomenal. It was an amazing cross to the back post, and he just rose up. There was nothing that England really could have done to stop that goal. I will say that England looked very good at times in this game with the pace of guys like Sterling and Sturridge, and they looked good. Rooney might not have looked great. I don't know if it's time to put him out to pasture or not, but I thought that maybe it's time to drop some of these guys. But Gerrard looked good. And he was able to kind of control some of the midfield at times. But the thing about England is they have to they want to go through Wayne Rooney, and I just think that he's just had such a long season with United. He's relied on so much. He plays almost every game, and he's just tired.
Yeah, that's absolutely part of it. I think he looks fatigued. The service is not great for him, but this England team is so different. They looked a lot better on the counterattack.
Yeah, they just have so much more pace.
And I don't know if that necessarily fits him. I mean, obviously he's a great player, can play in any type of style, but Rooney's a guy that likes to come back deep and get the ball and distribute, and so I don't know if their style of play really fits him. But at the same time, then you look at that bench, and their only real options in terms of goal scorers would be Ricky Lambert, who's not very experienced. So I think he'll get the start again, but you do kind of wonder if this new type of English style really suits him. Maybe it suits Sturridge and Welbeck a bit more up front, but I can't imagine that he's not in the first 11 next match. But it is interesting to see because they're so different than they've been in the past, how they're going to line up. And I'd like to see Ross Barkley start.
Yeah.
I think they need a little more creativity coming out of that center midfielder. Obviously, Gerrard's going to be playing deeper as a more defensive midfield player. I've always been a huge Ross Barkley fan. He's a guy that can sit behind the striker and really make things happen, whether it be assisting, scoring goals. He can shoot the ball from anywhere. So I would like to see him start the next match and see if they can kind of get a little bit better hold of the tempo going forward. But as for the Italians, I thought they looked great. This is a very good team, and they could really impress in the tournament too.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And with England, I bet they thought that this Costa Rica game wasn't going to be too tough. But now, after the way they played in game one, it's looking like a whole new ball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that I think Italy probably look the favorites now, but that second spot is really up in the air. If Uruguay can get it together and play a good game against Italy, maybe they can get back into it. But I really think that Uruguay are going to be on the back foot here. So I think that second spot is really just a battle between Costa Rica and England.
Yeah, going to be interesting. And I think you might have to give the edge to England, but Costa Rica are going to have to go get another result. I just don't see it happening against this quality of opposition. They could do it though, but that Uruguay-England game on Thursday, again, kind of similar to a few other fixtures on the second match day. That's a winner take all. A draw, another team's going to be happy. If you lose, you're for all intents and purposes out of the tournament.
Oh, yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I was actually looking ahead in the schedule thinking Costa Rica and England was next. No, it is. You're right. It is England and Uruguay there. So,
yes,
it's that is a huge game for both teams, and we will see who gets out of there. But right now, Uruguay sitting on the bottom of the group, Costa Rica sitting on the top. Nobody would have thought that would have been happening.
I know that group is just wild. It's going to be really interesting to see how things shake up on match day 2. And see where everyone stands going into the third match day, because that might be one of those groups where all 4 teams are mathematically and have a chance to go through come the final match day.
Well, I wish we didn't have to do this, but we got to go ahead and jump into Group E, where my heart was absolutely ripped out on Sunday morning, again sitting at Bonnaroo watching this game, surrounded by a couple of Ecuadorians. I was actually able to have some nice conversations with them. But Switzerland and Ecuador opened the scoring with a great header off of a set piece from Ener Valencia. But after that, they just looked very, very average. Heavy touches all across the field. Just not looking very threatening in the attack. And quite frankly, they just looked like after they scored the goal, they looked like a Sunday League side. I mean, it was just not good. Switzerland able to battle back and get a header goal there of their own. But Michael Arroyo was substituted on late on in this game, 92nd minute. Antonio Valencia has a great burst forward, and he was able to send in one of the best just setting up a platter cutback balls that I've seen, all the way to Michael Arroyo just sitting there in the middle of the box. All he had to do was pull the trigger and finish it. He should have hit it first time, took a touch, took another touch, doesn't even get a shot off. Switzerland's able to turn the ball around and do a counterattack, and basically with 20 seconds to go in stoppage time, knock one into the top of the net, and Ecuador go from at least getting a point to now having no points, and Switzerland get the 3 points.
Yeah, man, I'm glad that U.S. could pick you up on Monday with a late goal for the team you're pulling for, man, because that was really that was such a strange match, because as you said, I thought Switzerland looked relatively average too, and it looked like the last 10 minutes or so both teams were feeling fine about a draw.
Yeah.
And then suddenly in stoppage time, the game just suddenly opened up, and there were both teams just so much space, and it all got capped off. Wow, I didn't realize that it was the substitute, Arroyo, who had been on the pitch for only moments, and basically cost his team the match.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I was like, shoot the ball. It's like, all he needed to do was hit it first time.
Yeah, and the thing is, even if the shot gets blocked there, if you just have it tackled away from you like that, then you're vulnerable to the counterattack. If you shoot and it gets blocked, the ball flies up in the air. It's not going to be a counter. Instead, what a play I thought by Barami there. Makes the tackle.
It was beautiful.
Comes forward. That's why you don't necessarily have to go down and roll around on the pitch when you get fouled. He gets fouled moments after winning the ball, gets up, we play advantage, and suddenly it's 4v4, 4v5 on the other half of the pitch, and Switzerland get a goal at the death. Great play by Barami to set that all up. But as you said, I mean, that never happens if Arroyo has a shooting boots on.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to take those shots, and you just feel so bad for Valencia, who worked so hard on that play, to burst down the field and just put up a absolutely beautiful, just this ball right to where it needed to go. And unfortunately, Ecuador were not able to do what they needed to do there. So they sit in third on the group right now with a -1 goal differential. The other match in this group, France was able to easily handle Honduras with a 3-0 scoreline. And France looking very good in this game, to come into a World Cup where not a whole lot of people knew about what this team was going to be able to do. But, you got to think that Karim Benzema and the boys got to feel really good about their performance.
Absolutely, and I know it's just Honduras, but this is a massive result for France after the disaster in South Africa in 2010. they really need to get off on the right foot. And not only did they play some good football, they scored some goals. Karim Benzema, a guy that might also be in contention for the Golden Boot, plays very well. Nets a brace. Just what the doctor ordered for France, and they've got to be feeling very, very good about themselves. You can tell their chemistry is a little different. They look much more positive and enthusiastic in this tournament. Last tournament looked like they just wanted to go home.
Well, for Ecuador to have had a chance to get at least 1 point there with Honduras and France still to go, now Ecuador definitely has to beat Honduras and kind of hope they can get something right against France. But I think right now it's looking like France and Switzerland's group to get out of.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
All right, moving on to Group F, where Lionel Messi, up to his old tricks, certainly scoring a very amazing goal with a 1-2 and just trademark Messi run where he made two guys run into each other. It reminded me a lot of the old Michael Vick Falcons run where he makes the two Minnesota Vikings guys collide into each other. That is what Messi did to the two Bosnian defenders. Argentina able to get the 2-1 win there. And while not looking overly dominant, they were able to get the win, and that's what counts.
And that is what counts. And let's not forget Bosnia are, I think, a very underrated side. I watched them play against Mexico in the lead up to the World Cup. They're very, very strong. I really like their midfield combination of Pjanic and Misimovic. Both of them together very, very strong. Were able to control the tempo. Bosnia were very unlucky to come out from this match with nothing. But when you line up against a guy like Leo Messi, it just takes that one moment of brilliance to win the match. And as you said, has two defenders run into each other, and really just a sumptuous finish too off the post. And that's only good for the neutrals. To see him looking confident again, looking himself. He's a fun guy to watch. So I was certainly happy to see Messi step up and do that. And also for him personally, you could just tell how much that goal meant to him. This is a guy that surprisingly is not particularly beloved in Argentina, and he needs to step up and have a big time performance in an international tournament for him. So for them, so you could tell just the look on his face how much that goal meant to him. And as a fan, hey, I'm happy to see him playing like that because I love to watch him when he's firing on all cylinders.
Oh, no doubt. And I mean, Argentina, in Argentina, Messi is viewed as more of a Barcelona player because he moved from Argentina at a young age to go play in the Barcelona academy system.
Yeah, well how dumb is that? I mean, why would you want to go develop for Barcelona?
Oh, yeah, But this does mean a lot to him, and you could easily see it, with the celebration there after the goal. So Argentina in cruise control now in this group, as they will now take on Iran and Nigeria, who had one of the dullest games of the tournament with a 0-0 draw, with not a whole lot to talk about there.
That was brutal, but it did. I wasn't watching the match, so it helped my consumption of beer before the U.S. match began. That was probably the only positive.
Right.
I hardly even remember much going on.
It was just very listless. Nothing happened.
Bosnia surely watched that, and they've got to be licking their chops.
Oh yeah, no question about it. I still think Bosnia are in a great position because Iran and Nigeria just don't really provide that much going forward. Both are sitting on a point. Argentina have the 3 points, so Bosnia will definitely need to pick the table scraps there in order to get out. And I think they will because they look pretty good against Argentina. So I think they'll be able to correct right the ship there and get the points they need to get out of this group. And last but not least, we will talk about Group H, where the matches there happened. One's happening right now. You've got Russia and South Korea. They are tied at 1.
Oh, that one's done though.
Oh, it is finished. Okay, it has gone finished. It ended 1-1. Okay, good.
Yes.
So I pulled up all these things I'm looking at here just a minute ago.
Oh, it ended recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So it has indeed ended at a 1-1 score line. So those teams are each looking at a point there, and South Korea's goal was just a absolute calamity from the Russian goalkeeper, who had the ball. It was just a shot right at him, and he kind of looked like he was trying to catch the ball, and he basically parried it into his own goal. I don't really know how else to say it.
Robert Greene-esque.
It was definitely Robert Greene-esque, but he was able to get a bit of help from his attack as they were able to come forward and get the goal there to get the point. Also earlier today, Belgium, after giving up a penalty and going down 1-0 to Algeria, they were able to right the ship and get a vital win. They did not or could not have afforded to not get this win, but Algeria just not really. I think they might, if not being the lowest ranked team, they are one of the lowest ranked teams in this tournament. And unfortunately for them, after opening the scoring with that penalty, just Jan Vertonghen just absolutely losing his mind, just bundling over a guy in the box.
Yeah, typical Tottenham move.
Yeah, I'll let you get your shots in there. But
I'm loving it. Yeah.
But Man United fans will cringe at this. Marwan Fellaini substituted in, and he was able to get a header and
boy.
And he equalized the scoring there. And then Dries Mertens with a beautiful near post just rocket into the upper 90 as he was. Yeah, and so Belgium was able to. They looked kind of nervous early in this game, but those nerves went away, and they were able to get the job done. So Belgium on top of the group with a 2-1 win there. And you have Russia and South Korea on 1 point after they got the tie earlier, just wrapped up there. So Algeria on bottom of the group. So Belgium and Russia would probably still be my favorites to get out.
Yeah, I think so. And you talk about Belgium, as you said, the nerves. I mean, they were really disjointed and poor in the first half. The tackle from Vertonghen was. To be honest, it could have been a red card. Although
I think you're right.
It could have been. I thought the referee showed a bit of common sense there to just show him the yellow, but they did come together very nicely. And as you said, your boy Fellaini changed the match. Came off the bench, scores a big goal, created another couple of chances, and we started to see the real Belgium in the last 25-30 minutes. They're so strong in midfield, but they also have great creative players. As we saw in the second goal, Eden Hazard, just a great turn. Creates space for himself, finds Mertens with a perfectly slotted through ball, and a great finish from the Napoli attacking midfielder. So we started to see, I know this is your surprise team for the tournament, we started to see why in those last 20 or 30 minutes, and they'll be feeling good about themselves. They got their kind of nerves out of the way. They're going into their two more difficult fixtures with Russia and South Korea, and they can just go ahead and go full speed ahead and be pretty confident they're not going to play another 45 minutes like they did in the first half against Algeria. The Russia-South Korea game, I think the draw was a fair result. Those two teams will be looking to get, I think, a big result against Algeria. Maybe find something against Belgium and get through.
No question about it. All right, we got a couple of big games coming up here. Spain and Chile is the mouth-watering one on the docket for Wednesday, June 18th. So as we sit here on Tuesday, what are you looking for in the next couple games? Anything you want to add here before we hit the road?
Well, that's going to be a good one. I mean, we're going to learn a bit about Spain tomorrow. Is this team is their era finally over? I think we're going to know tomorrow afternoon, evening.
All right. Well, really quickly, I do want to get back to the United States with that Portugal game coming up. We know Portugal's licking their wounds. Going to be without three of their starting players. What does the United States have to do to get the result?
I think the key is going to be to actually hold some possession for a change. We can't afford. I mean, obviously, we're not going to control the tempo. They're going to play the attacking football most likely. But if we're not able to hold on to the ball and they're just coming at us wave after wave, eventually they're going to get through our back four and score. So you need a better performance from Michael Bradley. And I think the midfield in general will have to step up. Maybe look to, particularly if Josie can't play, maybe look to see Klinsmann switch over to that 4-2-3-1, or maybe just a more conservative setup in general. But, Portugal are the ones that have to take chances because a draw is just fine in our book. So, again, if we have the quality, I think we can catch them on the counterattack and go get a nice result and feeling real good about ourselves going to that Germany match if we can even just get a point out of that one.
Michael Bradley's got to be better, and another.
Please, Michael Bradley, we're begging you.
Yeah, and my other thing is get Fabian Johnson involved in the attack a little bit more somehow because he looked pretty good when he got forward.
Yeah, and this is the match to do it. I mean, because Portugal, again, they're under a lot of pressure. They're going to throw everything at us. So, if they get frustrated, I think that we can definitely find some space and some opportunities and make them pay.
All right, well, that wraps up this edition of the San Franco World Cup podcast. Thank you so much, Josh. I really do appreciate it. And I will be heading to Delaware early in the morning tomorrow for a week. So I will do my best to keep up with these games. And let's do this again next week when I get back.
Sounds good to me, man. We'll hopefully be talking about another 3 points for the U.S. next week.
That sounds good to me. All right, thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back with another episode. Thanks for listening to the San Franco World Cup podcast. Go USA!